lot of patriotism, red, white, and blue. There was a ton of American flags everywhere. Everywhere you turned, there was a reminder or evidence of what the country had gone through, was going through, what everybody's attitude was about it, and it sort of built up over the weekend, and it was emotional, like it was heavy.
The American and checkered flags out at Dover. Earnhardt Jr. wins.
Tony Sr., heck of a job.
We didn't have anything planned, never talked about it, and everybody had something like that in the pits. I don't know if everybody had a giant flag, but everybody was sort of expressing themselves patriotically in different ways, and our guys had a big giant flag. There's only these rare times when, no matter where you came from, who you were, what your job was, what your status was, you all were on the same page and you all had the same feeling and attitude. And going back to the racetrack, being at Dover, going through that process, seeing the reaction of the fans, all that was sort of the beginning of things being put back together,
With the broadcast of the Purolator 500 NASCAR Winston Cup Grand National Stock Car Race. Host for today's Purolator 500 race broadcast is Barney Hall.
Alright, so in this episode we are going to talk about only two things, so it should be a pretty short episode. One of those is who I think Jamie Murray is going to get replaced by, and the whole Joe Gibbs situation. And then I have one Clemson player that I really think is going to be the next big thing if he could just limit it to, he could just do some things. I'll expand on that in a second, but first let's start off with the Joe Gibbs situation, who I think is going to be going to the Joe. We all know that Furniture Row Racing is closing after this season. Their championship team, they won the championship yesterday, so everyone's just kind of wondering, why are they calling it quits after the season? They might not have the funding. That's what I think it is. I don't think they have the funding to continue as a team, and then they only have one car. They went down from 2 cars to 1, so that really makes a big difference also, because they might have lost some funding for Eric Jones. We don't really know that for sure because he just kind of went over to Joe Gibbs Racing, but that's what that's what I guess is they couldn't fund his car anymore, so they sent him over to Joe Gibbs. And Martin Truex Jr., someone of that caliber, he's gonna go over to Joe Gibbs. There's no other way they're gonna let him go, because he's a championship driver. He can battle it up with Kyle Busch, and there's no way they're going to let him go. So, who I think is going to leave, I think that, I really think that Daniel Suarez is the only person that's I think is going to leave, because there's no way that you have Eric Jones that's going to leave. He won this year. He's in the championship, the playoffs. And he won this year, so he's definitely going to stay, because he's going to be the next big thing after this this older generation of drivers retire. He's going to be the next one to step up. Then you have Kyle Edwards, or not Kyle Edwards, Kyle Busch, but he's always going to be there. You have Daniel Suarez, and he's the only one that can leave. I think he's the only option that they have to go. And then Martin Truex is definitely going to go up. I can tell you that, because I just don't really have any words to say. But there's no way they're going to drop Martin Truex Jr. All right, now let's go to the whole Chip Ganassi Racing with Jamie McMurray. You got Kyle Larson on his team, who's a well-funded car, and then Jamie McMurray, they just kind of haven't really funded his car, really, over the years. So I think they said they're going to let him go for sure. He has no idea where they're going. And rumors going around that Kurt Busch is going to move, but he is in the playoffs. There are only 2 drivers that are winning for Roush Fenway. One of those is Kurt Busch. The other is Kevin Harvick, of course, part of the big 3. But then you have Kurt Busch, that's about it. He's definitely going to stay. Well, I don't know for sure if they're going to stay, but he comes with a sponsor. That is huge for a team with a driver that comes with a sponsor prepared. And then I think that if they're going to let go of a person, Roush Fenway, it's got to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Because he hasn't performed well. He had a couple lucky starts or races last year where he won, but that's Daytona, Talladega. That's kind of out of your hands. If you stay out of a wreck, you're definitely in a running for winning a Daytona or Talladega race. So he's not performed well since he's been in the Cup Series, and he's been in the Cup Series about 5-6 years, and he hasn't won until last year. So he's not a great driver. I think they might send Stenhouse in the Chip Ganassi Racing. That is my guess with that. And then Kurt Busch is going to stay. Harvick, can't let go of Harvick. That's about the only move. And then Casey Kane retiring, of course. We knew that. And then Regan Smith probably going to take over. He's already driving. Drove for him in Indy yesterday because Casey Kane is getting over an illness, so he couldn't race. Yeah, I think that's about it. And then let's go to Clemson now. Alright, Clemson, I think the next big player is Tanner Muse. He is a great safety. He's gotten a couple pick sixes against Syracuse, one last year and one, was it the year before that? Yeah, I think it was the year before that he also had a pick six. He just has to stay out of foul trouble, and I think you'll have your next big player out of Clemson with Tanner Muse. So that's my next big player. And that's about it for this short little episode we have going on. So to recap, before we go, we got Suarez has to be out. And who knows where Suarez is going to go. Because they might let go. He might have to go back to the Xfinity Series. Because I don't think he's going to... He's going to go to the 1 car, I think. Now I think about this, because Kurt Busch isn't going. Stenhouse, if you're going to get rid of a driver at Roush Fenway, he's going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Just hasn't performed since he's gotten there. And then you got everyone else staying at Roush Fenway. Everyone else is great at Joe Gibbs. Jamie McMurray's up in the air. He's definitely going to go to one of those teams because he's a great driver, just underfunded. Oh, and then you got the Matt DiBenedetto scenario. I didn't realize that. He's leaving Go Fast Racing. He can wheel the car, man. He can really wheel the car. Great driver. I think he's going to go to Joe Gibbs. If Daniel Suarez leaves, I could even see him going to Chip Ganassi. And then Jamie McMurray. Alright, wait, no. Here we go. Here is my final... this is it. This is my prediction. Final prediction here. I think that Jamie McMurray's obviously leaving. Matt DiBenedetto's in the air. He is a great driver. I say Chip Ganassi picks up Matt DiBenedetto. Everyone stays the same. Except for Martin Truex Jr. Daniel Suarez is out. He is going to have to go to the 95. Maybe they'll probably put him back in the Xfinity Series. But that is my final. That's my final. So I'm going to go with Matt DiBenedetto, Chip Ganassi Racing. McMurray's going to go to the 95 team in Levine Racing, I think, because that's about a good fit for him, I think. And then Ricky Stenhouse, I think that he's got to be canned. I mean, he's just not a Cup Series driver. He's got to go to the Xfinity or Truck Series. Alright, well, that's it. We've said it. We've done it all. Thanks for watching Truck Talks.